How ironic that the Nation of Islam hates the Christian faith because their ancestors were carried on ships when Muhammad referred to a black slave as a ship.
You're talking about my holy book in a bad way, but I will not talk about your book because I believe in the Bible. I believe in the book of Jews, and that's what our Islam told us.
So you believe in the Bible?
Not this Bible. The right
so he's just talked bad of the Bible.
No,
So
we believe in that.
is my Bible trustworthy?
No, it's...
There you go. If that is an eternal law for all mankind in all places and in all times, that means that it is instituted within Sharia law to capture, to free, to buy, to sell, and to treat slaves.
I think you're preaching hate, Bob.
I'm preaching hate for critiquing their prophet.
So, okay, hold on.
This is the mindset of the Dawah team.
All right, what
That
Dawah
you
team?
cannot criticize their
Dawah
prophet,
team?
otherwise you are a hate preacher.
Hold on.
But that never stops the Dawah team from critiquing the Christian faith. Are you ISIS?
Why do you ask my ISIS?
I can answer your question.
They love ISIS. Why do you ask him? They love ISIS.
He doesn't want to answer the question. You don't want to hear that.
I'm not interested in your answer. I'm interested.
I will answer your question in my own way. My way.
That's fine. I'm a Muslim, that's why you asked me that.
Just
Tell him now.
So tell me why ISIS is wrong. ISIS was a plan of last 25 years, made by America, Britain, France, and you don't want fucking to my answer.
I'm listening. I heard your answer. Your answer is that ISIS is the creation of America.
Bye-bye.
So the Muslim community at Speaker's Corner want to blame the USA for ISIS rather than take responsibility.
Why are we going to take responsibility if ISIS are not of the Muslim?
Why are you blaming America?
Of course we have responsibility about that as well. We do have
If Americans go and join
but most of the responsibility on you as well. On you.
Did a lot of American patriots.
You didn't like his answer, did you?
No. I'm engaging with his answer, which is something different from what you're doing.
Because you didn't allow me to finish.
I like his answer.
You said the CIA, you said America.
No, I didn't say the CIA. I haven't finished my answer, but you don't like it.
MI6.
It's a nonsensical answer by a community
We're not talking about Quran.
that don't want to take responsibility.
Your pants on fire.
I told him this is not religious.
Your pants on fire.
Your pants is above.
Is that a logical argument?
Yes, it is.
Talk about Novichok, but he wants to.
Novichok.
I told him.
You didn't like his
It had
answer.
nothing to do with Islamists forming a network together.
It's a politician conversation. It's
I'm
nothing to do
talking
with
politics.
religion.
No, you don't. Talking politics.
Okay, who created ISIS?
My brother, you want to talk to the Islamist network? No, formed themselves. They broke off, as I understand, from Al Qaeda.
With him? Me with him?
Why am I lost? Islam and politics are one. Desperately trying to blame everyone else for situations created from within my own community.
Why do you blame Muslims about
No, I don't blame all Muslims. I blame Islamists. Let's be clear. I don't blame all Muslims. I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming Islamists. But Islamists are a group of Muslims.
Listen to this, brother.
That's what
You're talking off us.
So be clear about what I'm saying.
Can you leave him alone?
My brother. Why are they not Muslims?
Bye-bye.
My brother. Okay. So let's look at their actions and ask ourselves. Do you want to talk with me about it?
Bye-bye.
My brother, I want to talk. My brother, no. We're talking.
Bye-bye. Bob the liar. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bob, you can't be taking the cameras away, man. Come on, bro.
Talk over here because we'll get heckled.
I think I need to get a selfie stick too.
I'm telling you why. Because in Islam there are certain rules to follow, which are said in Quran and Sunnah. So if I don't follow these rules, he's not a Muslim. If he kill people, he's not a Muslim. Okay? And that's what I want. In Christianity, a person who doesn't follow Bible, he's not a Muslim. He's not Christian. So that's what I want to explain.
Okay. So let's look at some of the actions. Like, firstly, I agree with you that ISIS don't represent all Muslims.
Muslims.
And don't represent Islam.
This is what we're going to discuss.
Yeah.
But I agree with you definitely that ISIS don't represent all Muslims.
Okay, I want to give you something.
Allow me
I was in Saudi Arabia.
1 second.
Yeah,
Allow
okay.
me to make a point, and then we'll do an exchange.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we don't have to talk over it. So I agree with you that ISIS does not represent all Muslims. I'm happy to give virtually every Muslim I meet the benefit of the doubt that they're not supporters of ISIS, though I have met Muslims who are.
Yeah.
Okay, even in this park. Okay, so my question to you is, point to me 3 actions that you would say are not representative of Islam, that ISIS do, and therefore exclude them from the possibility of being Muslims.
Okay,
Three.
Number 1, they are killing people. Number
Okay.
2, in Saudi Arabia, from about 1 year, I was there, and they were bombing mosques. Mosques are the holy places for praying. And, it was proved that ISIS did it, and in Medina, the holy mosque of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, it was like bombed by them. So it's the second thing that they bombed most. Third thing that they kill like innocent people, and they.
You've just said no.
Okay, and they follow another way, which
Sorry,
is.
you've essentially saying the same thing 3 different ways.
Yeah.
I'm asking you for 3 different things that they do. They kill people is one.
Yeah.
They bomb mosques.
Yeah.
Does that mean bombing churches is okay?
No, not okay.
So bombing churches is wrong.
No, bombing mosques to any place for worshipping
What
God
about
in any different
what
way
about
is wrong.
forcibly converting churches into mosques? Is that wrong?
Yeah, it's wrong. to
Okay.
convert.
What about, and then you said what else? What else?
Yeah, their mentality, what they are thinking about to conquer the world and to try to fear people, it's not in Quran.
Okay, all of these things are not in the Quran.
Yeah.
Tell me the last time. Tell me the last time you saw an Islamic state, an Islamic society that you would say this is genuinely Islamic.
I don't know Islam society. I know Islam Muslims people.
Are you Shia or Sunni?
I'm Sunni.
Sunni.
But
Okay.
I want to tell you something. In Quran, there's nothing called Shia or Sunni. There's Quran that you
Okay.
have to follow it, and then you are a Muslim.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's be clear. The caliphate. What was the last caliphate that you would look to and say this was an Islamic caliphate, like the Ottoman Caliphate, the Andalusian Caliphate, the Umayyad Caliphate, the Caliphate set up by Muhammad?
The Ottoman Caliphate, it was, there were.
Was that an Islamic
Not
caliphate?
all of them.
Okay.
There were some caliphs who were doing
Some
wrong
caliphs,
things.
okay. Okay, right. You said, right, so you've just said, and we all heard you, that the Ottoman Caliphate was whilst it had its failings at different times in history with different caliphates, it was an Islamic caliphate. And you said that the things that ISIS did that exclude them from being Muslim is that they killed people, they destroyed they destroyed mosques, and by extension destroyed churches, and forcibly convert churches, and then the third one we never really picked one out, but let's
No,
find.
I mean that.
What about kidnapping people? ISIS kidnapped people. Right. So now let's look at the Ottoman Caliphate and ask ourselves if the Ottoman Caliphate did what ISIS did, bearing in mind that you said that the Ottoman Caliphate was an Islamic caliphate.
Not all of them.
Let's just look at what the Ottoman Caliphate did. The Ottoman Caliphate kidnapped Christians and formed an army called the Janissaries that was basically formed out of kidnapped Christian children. The Ottoman Caliphate forcibly destroyed and converted churches, and the Ottoman Caliphate killed people. And the Ottoman Caliphate did this not at one point in its history, but for the entirety of its history. Every single caliph of that caliphate did it.
So could you give me like the years and
Can I ask you a question on that statement?
so I will write it down.
So what you need to look up, you can do it all now. Everyone
Can I
can
ask you a
fact check
question on
me.
that statement?
One second. Let us finish. Everyone can fact check me right this second. Pull out your phones, use your 4G, and go and type in the word Janissary and see what comes up. Janissary. 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 Okay? Janissaries. Family.
Can I just ask you, you know you're making this statement that they done this, right, yeah, in the Ottoman Caliphate or whatever. Did they go and just enforce this on normal civilian people?
Yes.
Just as they went to anyone's house and said, "Oh, do you know what? Because you're not Muslim, we're going to kill you."
No, what they did is
So they done it under war
No,
or under defense
let
or
me
something.
finish.
Because what you're saying is like we went round.
Something tells me you've not read the history, have you?
I
You didn't
haven't.
even know
I
the word
haven't, but the
Janissary
thing is,
before I told you.
What I'm trying to say to you is that.
So you're trying to lecture me about something
Are
you
gonna
don't
let me
even know
talk?
about.
I'm not going to lecture you. I'm not going to lecture. I'm saying you're coming here to lecture people about old history, right?
Right. So what is your argument?
Is it current? Is it current right now?
Am I right?
Hold on.
So
why are you going off my
one second.
question?
Am I right?
Yeah, they began as an elite corps of slaves made up of kidnapped young Christian boys who were converted to Islam and became famed for internal cohesion, cemented by strict discipline and order.
Thank you.
Okay, now
That's the Janissaries. That is the Ottoman Empire.
I will tell you. If they did that,
So what? Hold on. So now
They
my
were-
question to you is this:
They were an empire.
and they did this all the
Europe.
way through the period of the
they are
Ottoman
not
Empire.
following the right way of the
Are they not following it? So now, listen. So point to me an example of a caliphate that you do believe in.
Umar ibn al-Khattab, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon
Right, the
him.
caliphate of Muhammad.
Muhammad, yeah,
Right.
Umar
So-
ibn al-Khattab, Uthman ibn Affan, all of these from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, till Uthman ibn Affan.
Okay, so let's look at Muhammad's example. Bearing in mind, Muhammad's caliphate collapsed. It failed. So it means the great system of Islam
I
is a
agree with him when
failure.
he said about
Yeah?
Janissaries, but
Yeah,
It did fail. Where is the caliphate?
He asked you what was the best
The
example.
one set up by Muhammad?
It was changed after
It's a perfect system, right?
Yeah, it was changed after there was problem between
So you're just pursuing that line.
Bani Umayyah and Abbasis.
You're saying
Yeah.
that the Ottomans
So
were a good example.
when what happened look, when Muhammad was dying was that he excluded all Jews and Christians from the Arabian Peninsula. Yes. Do you know about the Christian colony in Najaf?
No, I will tell you why.
Do you know about the
Who
Christian
he
colony in Najaf?
excluded where in Ghazwat al-Ahzab war, the Jews were in Medina with Prophet Muhammad,
And they were all over the Arabian
No,
Peninsula, not just in
I'm
Medina.
talking about the Jews who were in Medina.
No, I'm talking about towards Muhammad's death, he excluded Jews from the entirety of his caliphate, which was the United Arabian Peninsula, and he also excluded Christians in Najaf.
No, the neighbor of Prophet Muhammad was a Jew. Do you know that?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And that you can point to an example in his life, yeah, right? And you can say,
I'm not saying I will continue.
but
I will tell you.
it's about what
Yeah.
he commanded at the end
No,
of his
maybe
life.
I will tell you.
Can anyone fact check me, please? Fact check me about whether Muhammad commanded that the Jews and the Christians should be excluded from the Arabian Peninsula.
the
Yeah, he
argument
made-
about the Janissaries is that how does it relate to Islam?
Yeah, how does it relate to
Right,
Islam?
thank you. So the point is, before you jumped in, bro,
Yeah, bro.
is that I asked this bro,
Yeah, bro.
yeah, I asked this bro to tell me which caliphate he believed was a genuine Islamic one, because we were discussing ISIS. And we were saying why ISIS aren't really Muslim.
They're not.
Right. And I
They're not.
accept
I'll say
that
it again.
ISIS don't represent most Muslims. I get that. I get that.
Islam.
But then when I
You have
asked
the
you,
Quran.
hold on one
No,
second.
no, yeah.
But then when I asked you to tell me a caliphate that you did think represented Islam, you said the Ottoman
I
Caliphate.
told you
And then I
all of
pointed
them.
out that the Ottoman Caliphate were doing the things
I didn't
that the
tell you.
ISIS Caliphate were doing. So why is one Islamic and not the
Ottoman
other?
Caliphate built churches in Egypt at the end of the Ottoman Caliphate. So not all of the Caliphate, not all of the Caliphs at that time were right. No one, it cannot be.
Shall I tell
That's
you?
why it fall down.
Do you know about the Pact of Umar?
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Shall I tell you?
No, one thing I want to.
Oh, yeah, of course,
Yeah. I'm saying why ISIS are not in Islam, because you cannot prove from the Quran that,
that was the basis
it's
of the
saying
conversation
kill
was,
people.
how
It
is
cannot-
ISIS
the Quran doesn't
anything
say
to do with Islam?
like destroy churches. Quran doesn't say like to terrify people and being terrorists.
What about raping people?
It doesn't say
It doesn't
to rape
say
people.
that. I have my
Okay.
Quran with me.
Okay, right.
Where does
let's
it say
look
to
at
rape
that.
people?
Yeah, we'll look at that. We'll look at that. Okay, in Surah
I really want to
4
know where it says by the word of God, Allah to rape people,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
I haven't seen that
Right,
anywhere.
Say the
Right.
place of
So
the ayah.
the question is, where does the Quran permit rape? Now, before I begin, I want to say that in my experience, most Muslims have a better conscience than they do a deen. Their conscience contradicts their deen, and they follow their conscience, not their deen. Thankfully, okay. But let's just think about what this verse is saying. Okay.
Which verses? And
Yeah,
I'm
so
going
what
to.
is attacking
I'm
to
going
it?
to give
One
it.
second, one second.
Today you're attacking.
I am
It's people
going
like
to
you
give
that
it.
cause problems in the current
I
day.
am
You know
going to
that.
give it. I am going to give it. Okay, so you know that every verse of the Quran was revealed in a situation, Yeah? Every ayah of the Quran was revealed in a situation, in a circumstance. So I'm going to talk about the circumstance first that are in the hadith, and then we're going to go to the verse.
Give me the verse.
Yeah, the verse is Surah 4, verse 24. Okay? The situation in which this ayah was revealed was this one. Are you listening? The Apostle of Allah sent a military expedition to Atwaz on the occasion of the Battle of Hunayn. They met their enemy and fought with them.
In a battle,
They
right?
defeated them and took them captives.
In a battle,
Some
right?
of the companions of the Apostle of Allah were reluctant, are you all listening? Were reluctant to have intercourse with the female captives in the presence of their husbands,
So is what that is it said in
who
the
were
Quran?
unbelievers.
Is that what it says in the Quran?
So Allah the Exalted sent down the Quranic verse, Surah 4:24,
What is the name of the
which
surah?
reads,
What's the name of the
woman,
Yeah.
which reads,
what verse is that?
also prohibited are women already married, listen, except, did you all hear that word? Already married, except, that means with an exception to the following category. Those whom your right hands possess.
So at the time of them,
As
they were
in,
slaves at that
if
time,
I
right?
own you as a female captive, I can have sex with you regardless of whether you are married or not married.
To the right.
How
Okay,
is
hold
that
on.
not
Hold on.
rape?
Hold on. To the right hand meant to someone who has ownership over a slave. And to be a slave, then in Islam, you have to agree to. Someone is not going to just take you and say you're my slave. They're not.
Or you agree to slavery?
No, I don't agree to slavery. But that was what it was back in them days.
No, you're saying that I can agree to be your slave.
No, it's not like that.
At them times, yeah, because that's what slavery was.
So his logic is that after a battle, in other words, the Muslims imposed themselves on another community and took captives. He's saying that it was all by consent.
No, I'm saying that's how it was back then.
Utter rubbish.
I'm saying that's how it was back then, though. There was slavery
No, bro.
back then. Is there slavery now? Is
Yes,
there slavery now?
in Sudan, in Saudi Arabia, in Chad, in Mauritania.
happening now?
Yes,
This is happening
now,
Where's
today.
Your resource? Show us the proof.
Go
Of today, no,
Go
Bob.
and look
You're
up-
on silent
go
now.
and look
silent,
up-
Bob.
I'm not silent.
Bob, so where's your proof of today?
Can someone fact check me, please?
No, can you fact check
check me?
yourself? Fact check
Fact check
yourself.
me. See if
Fact check
slavery is still
yourself.
happening today.
Fact
Fact check me.
You show me, because I
Come
didn't
on,
bring it
Google
up.
me.
I didn't
Ask
bring
if
it
where
up.
slavery is
No,
still
I
happening
want
today.
you to show me, because I didn't bring it up.
Right.
I didn't bring it up. I want to bring up today's current issue.
Anyone?
People like you.
I think you're making a lot of
No,
noise to
you're-
get around a topic.
No,
I think you're making
I
a lot
think
of
you're
noise to
preaching
get
hate.
around a
I
topic.
think you're preaching hate, Bob.
I'm preaching hate
You're preaching
for
hate.
critiquing their prophet.
So, okay, hold on.
This is the mindset of the Dawah team.
All right, what
That
Dawah
you
team?
cannot criticize their
What Dawah
prophet,
team?
otherwise you are a hate preacher.
Hold on.
But that never stops the Dawah team from critiquing the Christian faith.
Hold on. For
They are
the
Christophobes by their own
for the
logic.
basis of the camera, I'm not here to preach hate like Bob does, yeah?
Why is it hate?
Because you're trying to cause a division in this community. Hold on. Who here is Muslim? Put your hand up. Muslim. Do you agree with people captivating women and raping them without the consent?
Without their consent.
So hold on. For any Muslim in today's current world, Bob, silent, shut up, man, shut up. Today in the current world, no Muslim is gonna agree to that, all right?
He says that, but what did ISIS do?
Bingo.
Who is ISIS?
What did ISIS
okay,
do?
so this goes back to this. Hold on.
Thank you.
This
They
goes back.
followed Muhammad.
Hold on.
They took female
are you
captives
gonna just
and
talk
then
over me?
they
No.
raped them.
Let him finish.
Assyrian
Let him
Christians
finish.
were raped by ISIS, and ISIS used this very verse and this very hadith to justify their actions. Now, I agree. He doesn't agree with this kind of behavior. He's a good man. His conscience
He's
is
bumbling me now.
better than his
Bumbling me, so I
book.
agree with him, but I'm not
His
gonna agree with you.
conscience
I'm
is
not gonna
better
agree with you, Bob.
than his
You cannot
book.
bum-lick me, Bob.
But his book permits this kind of slavery.
Come on, Bob. Listen, let me think.
Right, hold on. Okay, he says,
What you're preaching is bullshit, bro.
he says,
It doesn't relate to any Muslim here. It doesn't relate to
let's
the
try
Muslim
to
of
advance the
world.
argument. let's try to advance the argument. Because the defence that is being made is that these women consented. Is that what you're going to try and argue?
No.
That these women consented to have sex with their Muslim overlords?
No.
It wasn't rape?
No.
So it was rape?
No, it wasn't rape.
Did they consent?
Yeah, but because it
Did
was
they consent?
after the war.
Did they consent?
So
Did they give permission to have sex with these Muslim overlords?
Did
Yes or
armies
no?
of all countries back in them times get
He's not
consent
answering
from
the
any
question.
women they
Because they
raped?
want to explain.
Hold on.
Right, I'm asking you a
any
simple
army,
question.
Did any army?
Did they consent?
Did
Yes
any
or
army
no?
consent against any country?
Right, the word consent means that they give permission to have sex.
Hold on.
Who
Did
gets
any
permission?
country?
With female captives.
Did any
Did they
captive
give
woman
consent
in any
to
war
their Muslim
give
masters
permission?
to have sex with them?
No, they didn't give.
So that is rape!
Brother,
Thank
I
you!
know.
Continue my
That
answer.
is rape!
No, they didn't
Any-
give. They told
any.
them because
Why
they
you
were in war
ignoring me,
afterward.
Bob?
This were
Bob,
taken,
why you ignoring me?
After men. So after taking them as after the war.
After taking them
Yeah.
as slaves,
No, as not as slaves, they were treated as another.
or not slaves,
Yeah.
so they weren't captives.
Hold on.
No.
Hold on.
They weren't
Bob.
captives.
Bob.
Okay,
So
They
Bob,
were.
Bob,
were they captives?
Yeah, of the war.
So they were captives.
Yeah, but it was by their FD. In Islam, if you had.
So they
I
consented.
don't think anyone who's been captive.
Now listen
any
to the
war
argument.
Has given consent. So you're
Listen
the
to the
argument is
argument.
bollocks,
Because they
Bob.
were, as if they did that, so they are married.
So listen to the argument. The argument is they gave consent.
Who's making
That
the
is the
argument?
defence.
Who's making the argument?
But
or
listen
defense?
carefully. Listen carefully. Were reluctant to have intercourse with their female captives in the presence of their husbands, which means
They're married.
that Muhammad condoned adultery. He condoned a woman having sex with another man in the presence of their husband.
Hold on.
So they exchange one sin
Adultery-
for another
Adultery
sin.
is condemned in the
For
Quran.
adultery.
Adultery is condemned in the Quran. Hey, listen.
Can anyone prove that?
Adultery.
They didn't want to rape
Adultery
them.
is condemned
But then
in the
Muhammad
Quran.
said,
No, he didn't say that. It's not in the Quran.
Can you show where they're condoned?
Show me in the Quran where
You
they
want-
say that.
Doesn't
You
it
want-
mean that they didn't want to rape
Right,
them?
so-
why are you saying they did when it
So-
says that they're saying that they
they
were reluctant?
didn't. And then listen to the injunction that comes from Allah.
Why
Why are you
Right?
creating your own
Yeah,
interpretation?
also
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
prohibited
He's
are
giving
women
his-
already
he's giving
married,
his own quotations.
except those whom your right hands possess. Which means Allah is giving permission to these Muslims to have sex with their female captives.
By marriage,
Now-
no, if you read tafsir, there is something called tafsir which explains the Quran.
They are married already, it
This
says
is
in the
not the Quran.
presence
This
of their
this
husbands.
is not the Quran. This
Does Islam permit a woman to have more than one
in the
husband?
Quran, man.
This is the hadith. Abu
they didn't want
Dawood
to rape them.
2150 and Sahih al-Muslim 3433.
So these Muslims didn't want to rape the women. They were reluctant to rape them, so they didn't want to do it.
They
That's
were
what it says.
reluctant.
So they didn't want to.
But then they did.
So that's good for them, isn't it? They're
They
obviously
did.
good people if they
They
didn't want
did.
to rape them.
They
It didn't
did.
say they were willing to rape them. It says they were reluctant. So
Right.
isn't that a positive thing?
Right, do you want you now the brother is saying that this evidence says that they didn't rape them,
they said they
but
were
he's not
reluctant,
listening. They were reluctant, it doesn't mean they didn't.
Brother, listen, I'm just going to say one statement.
Because,
hold on, this is from
in
a
the
hadith,
Quran,
innit?
in Surah,
Let him finish it.
in Surah 4,
I'm going to read you
24,
one statement from a
also
hadith, right?
prohibited are
One
women
small
already
sentence.
married except those whom your right hands possess. In other words, you have permission to have sex with people that are not married.
All right, so you guys-
However,
hold
let
on.
us bring this home. Let us bring this home because we have an even clearer hadith.
Which verse is that? Is that the one that directly follows
That's
the one
Surah
you just read out?
424, which
this
is
is
the
not- this is
context
not
in
in
which
the
this hadith was revealed.
So that's
This
not-
hadith,
no,
this
hadith
hadith is the
Stuck
gives
to
the
it. I'm saying,
situation.
what is this?
This
isn't
brother,
written down.
brother.
This is the Quran.
Okay,
This is not from the Quran.
this is a hadith. I've given you the reference. It's Sahih Muslim 3433. Keep up.
Okay, so it's
So-
the Quran.
It has been narrated. This is another
So
hadith.
you're not reading from
So
the
you're
Quran.
taking from
It's
the
a
Quran
hadith
and from
which
hadith.
No, it's not the Quran.
No,
No,
you're
sorry,
not
please.
reading from the
No,
Quran.
You don't get Islam, bro.
No, no,
Hadith,
you don't get
hadith
Islam, bro.
are used to interpret the Quran. So if the
So this is an
hadith say
interpretation of the Quran.
they are used
Yeah,
by
but
Muslims
sometimes
to
he's
He's not
interpret
reading
the
from the
Quran.
Quran just to make
Yeah,
it
he
clear.
doesn't.
Yeah, make it clear.
I think everyone is clear about what I'm reading from because I've been giving my source.
So is it from the Quran?
So,
Hang on a minute.
let's read
I'll
them
tell you
all.
something from the Quran.
You
Hold
said
on,
you were
hold
gonna
on.
read from
From
the Quran.
the
It's the Quran.
Rape is considered a serious sexual crime in Islam.
Go on.
Yeah? In the
on.
Quran, right?
Yeah.
And can be defined in Islamic law as forcible illegal sex.
This is not a Quran. This is not the Quran.
This is your
You're reading a commentary.
Anyway,
You're reading an
forcible
opinion.
by a man with a woman who is not legally married to him without her free consent.
Right.
doesn't have the hadith. It doesn't have the hadith.
So he's using hadith while criticising me for using hadith. What is the contradiction?
To you that you don't have the hadith.
You follow the tafsir, yes?
It was
You follow the tafsir. You follow the tafsir readings for
what is your belief on the
Argument is
tafsir?
there.
In the
He's
Quran.
right there, yes.
Read it from the Quran.
I'm going to. I'm going to.
And then you have some.
I'm going
You have some
to.
credit for
I
what
am
you're saying.
going to. Okay, Surah 24:33. Surah 24:33.
I don't agree with what he's saying as being a
Are
true.
you listening carefully, bro?
There you go.
Because you've been lied to. You have been
By
lied to.
you, by you mean?
By who?
Right, listen. Surah 24, Ayah 33 reads, "But force not your maids to prostitution when they desire chastity, in order that ye may
Can you
make
repeat that
a gain
sentence?
in the goods of this life. But," are you listening?
Can you start that
But
sentence again?
if anyone compels them, yet after such compulsion is Allah oft forgiving, most merciful.
So what does that mean?
Where are you going on now, bro?
What does that mean? He
So-
doesn't even know what it means.
Force
You don't even
not
know what
your
it
maids
means.
to prostitution when they
Start
desire
again from the start.
chastity,
Say it from the
in
start.
order that ye may make a
commanding
gain
you
in the goods of this
So
life.
it's commanding you not to force your women into prostitution.
Thank you.
But,
But if anyone compels them
In
yet
war against Islam,
after such compulsion, Allah will be oft forgiving, most merciful. In other words, don't do it, but if you do, Allah will forgive you anyway.
no, it doesn't.
No, not
no, it
that.
doesn't, Bob. No, it doesn't. That is your own interpretation of it. That is your own interpretation of it, Bob. I don't understand what you're. Can I ask you a question? What is your problem
Yeah,
with
I need you
Islam?
to give me the-
What
Okay.
is your problem with Islam?
This is a commentary on this verse.
Surah 7, yeah?
In Dashti, page
What is the name?
50.
What's the name of
Interested
Surah?
in what it says
Oh,
in the
but
Quran.
you are interested in commentary when it legitimates
No, I'm interested
Islam,
in what it says
but
in the
not when
Quran.
it doesn't
No,
legitimate.
I'm not a Muslim.
I've just
I'm
given
not a
you.
Muslim.
I've just
I
given
wanna
you
know
the
what it
ayah
says
in the Quran.
Yeah,
in the Quran. Don't
Let's
talk
see
about
how
Surah.
Muslims interpreted
Which
that verse.
surah? Which surah?
That was Surah
is the name?
24
Yeah.
An-Nur, ayah
An-Nur, yeah,
33.
so wait.
While you're
Let him
finding
read
that,
it now. No, you've read your version.
Okay, yeah,
let him
yeah,
read
yeah.
his one and tell you what it says.
By the
right?
way, this is not my version. This is a version interpreted
what are the white stickers?
by Muslims.
What about the white stickers?
This is a Muslim
What are the
version
white
of the
stickers?
Quran.
What are the white stickers?
Okay,
What are these white stickers?
I'm going to read it to you.
I'm asking you, what are they?
Al-Dashti, a
What?
humane and salutary injunction.
I'm not asking what it says. I'm asking what is this white sticker
you
you've put
listening?
on there? No, I'm asking you to.
He
answer
doesn't
my
want to
question.
listen. He's asking a question, but he doesn't want to listen.
All right, so what
I am trying to tell you what the white stickers are, but you're saying you don't want to
You're
listen after
reading
answer the
you're
question.
reading the white sticker.
So, the white stickers are further commentary
By
from
who?
Hadith and Muslim sources.
From where?
From Muslim sources. So, for example, this one is by Ali Dashti, and he on Surah 24, Ayah 33 says this. A
Ali
humane and salutary injunction in Surah 24:33 shows that a cruel and immoral abuse was practiced at that time. Obviously, the verse prohibits the vile practice of slave owners who prostituted their female slaves and pocketed their proceeds, and no less obviously the words God after their coercion is forgiving and merciful, mean that God pardons slave girls for having unwilling committed fornication. The outward form of the words, however, is such that they can be taken to mean that God is forgiving and compassionate to men who prostitute their female slaves. So in other words, Muslims are having to reinterpret the plain meaning of the text to get their profit out of the embarrassment of legitimizing prostitution of female slaves.
Who does
And
that?
that isn't me saying it, that is a Muslim scholar saying it.
34, yeah?
So now we're going to read what you said.
What, 34? Show me. Which surah?
Surah 24,
An-Nur, yeah?
Ayah
34.
33.
33. Here's it's
Why are you fueling these terrorists?
One
You're giving them
second.
reasons to do it.
Who am
Why
I
are you
fueling?
fueling terrorists?
Why are you?
You're fueling terrorists.
What? So, in your mind,
In my mind, alright.
in your mind,
Yeah.
a legitimate critique of Islam is fueling terrorism.
No, it's not. How is that of Islam?
You have just said to me,
You're
based upon my critique of your
by
religion,
actions of
that
extremist
I am
terrorists
fueling.
who don't
Who's the
represent
extremist
Islam.
terrorist? We're reading the Quran.
Go and look.
This is what the Quran
So
says.
you're telling me
I'm not quoting the magazine of ISIS.
Hey.
I'm quoting your holy book.
No, it's wrong. Ayah 34 here.
This is your holy book, not an ISIS
My holy
magazine.
book, tells me not to
Surah
rape
An-Nur.
women.
Yeah,
My holy
Surah
book
An-Nur.
tells me
Yeah.
not to capture women, mate.
34
Yeah,
34
yeah.
34 ولقد أنزلنا إليكم آيات مبينات ومثل من الذين ومثل من الذين خلوا من قبلكم وموعظة المتقين.
Yeah.
And here is, could you read that? This is the translation.
I've got the translation right here.
No, it's this one.
Oh, it's the wrong translation.
Yeah,
in
because
other words,
you created-
it's
this
a
is not Quran.
translation that embarrasses my religion, and so it's wrong.
No, could you
The
read it?
only
Read
legitimate
that.
translation
You don't want to read it. You
are
read it.
those
You
that
don't
make my
want to-
religion
No,
look
you-
good,
no,
not look
we have our
bad.
book which is in Arabic.
Let him
And
finish
the way that
translation.
came in it.
Why don't
Read
you
this
hear
one.
the translation?
No, I have the
We have sent down
translation.
clear instructions
Go on.
to you,
Yeah,
an
read.
illustration from
Yep.
of those who have gone before you,
Yep.
and warning for those who take heed for themselves. This is the ayah. You are getting another ayah with another thing.
What does that say?
An-Nur 34, here is it. If anyone
For the
can read
cameras.
Arabic, say for
Show the cameras.
Show the camera. Here is it. Surah An-Nur.
Surah Al-Nur,
An-Nur.
and then show you on your phone.
An-Nur 34. Here is it.
He's
34.
accusing me of lying. I'm holding the book in my
Hey,
hand.
It's not this. This is not
This-
our book.
Quran,
And
bro.
here is
This-
it. Surah An-Nur. Show the
Surah
camera. Surah An-Nur.
24,
Surah An-Nur.
Ayah 33.
Ayah.
This is the actual
Now,
Quran.
I
This is a
agree.
translation
I just
by
said that.
someone.
You said 34. You said.
You
He have
don't
just said
listen.
Ayah 33.
Yeah.
You don't
No, and
listen.
before he said Ayah 33.
You know why you don't listen? It's because you
No,
shout
I'm
too much.
listening. No, I'm listening.
You need to relax.
Who smokes too
You
much?
need to relax. So let's return to this brother's
Why are you
comment.
fueling terrorists?
Why am I fueling terrorism?
Yeah, why are you fueling
So,
terrorists?
in this brother's mind, a critique of his
You're
holy
giving them a
book.
reason. No,
Oh,
no,
go on, finish that sentence.
You're giving them a reason
Yeah.
to go and rape women. Whereas we're
Right.
giving you a reason that we can.
Did you all hear that?
Rape.
I read from their holy book,
That's
and
not-
they said,
translation.
Get
This
off
is
my-
all right, but okay, I want to
Don't touch.
the Holy Quran translated by Abdullah Yusuf.
Abdullah
Translated.
Yusuf, that's a real Christian name.
Bro, so what?
Yeah,
so what?
it's all a giant
So what?
Christian
That's why he doesn't say the Holy Quran. He doesn't say the Holy Quran.
It's all a giant
The Holy Quran-
Christian Jewish conspiracy.
The Holy Quran.
Notice what he
Yeah.
said.
This is the Holy
I read
Quran.
from their holy book, and they said
No, the
that I'm giving an
translation.
excuse to terrorists to rape women.
I said that it's my holy book. I said it's a translation of the Quran.
Notice,
What does
ladies
your
and
book say? What
gentlemen,
does your book say?
whenever the Muslims
What does your book say?
find a
What does your book say,
translation
brother?
that causes them difficulty
again, and I will
about
mine.
their Quran,
No.
they simply throw the translation under the book.
Finish. Are you finished?
So let us move this argument
No,
forward.
hold on. I want to
Let
say
us
something. I want to say something.
Okay, I'll let you reply to this point, and then we'll move
I'm
the
not going to
argument
reply
forward.
to what you're saying. I'm going to make a statement for the benefit of the tape, because you seem to come here and make it look like we are all agreeing with rape and capturing Muslims.
No, I don't.
So why is your
No,
point
I
of-
don't.
Okay, so why have
You don't listen, do you?
Hold on.
No, you don't listen. What I said was, Muslims' conscience is
hold on.
better than their book.
Okay, hold
I
on.
said exactly the
Okay,
opposite
so, okay,
of
have
what
finished?
you accused
So
me of.
Are you finished? Have you finished? Have you finished?
Go on.
So whatever you said today about raping and
Yep.
capturing,
Yep.
which Muslim in this park has agreed that it was right?
Abdul Hakim.
Is he in the park? Where is he?
No, he's not here today.
Hello? Any Muslims? Again? And again, for the benefit of the tape,
Hold
all
on.
the Muslims put your hand
Hold
up.
on. 1
All
second.
the Muslims put your hand
1
up.
second.
Do you agree with women being raped?
Do you agree
Shut up,
with
Bob.
capturing
You are here
female?
to hate.
Right, 1 second. They contradict their own book.
None of them.
They don't want to believe in their own book. And I agree with them. It is It's good that you don't agree with your own book.
In the Quran,
Good that you don't agree with your own book.
in the Quran, it says not to rape
Your
women. Shut up,
conscience
man.
condemns you.
People like him that make people like you hate Muslims. We're all good people. He's a prick. You're a prick, mate. You're another hate preacher.
Okay, which
Hate
one?
preacher, bro.
I don't know.
Hate preacher,
But
bro.
if anyone compels them, yet after such compulsion, is Allah of forgiving the most merciful?
Yeah, he will forgive the woman, not the guy.
Okay, and that's
It will
why
give
I
them-
read. That is why I read Ali Dashti, who wrote.
I don't
Who's
care who
Ali
that- I
Dashti?
cannot. God's sake.
Read the
Do you
Quran
listen?
what, mate?
Do you
Read
listen?
the Quran, brother. Shut
Listen,
up, man.
one Muslim is arguing with a Muslim scholar.
Yeah.
According
happened.
to Islam, who do you believe?
We condemn people like
Any
that,
man
mate.
and his opinion,
We condemn-
or the ulama? Who are you told to believe?
Who told you
The
that?
Quran tells
To
you
believe Allah.
to obey Allah, His Prophet, and those who are placed in authority above you.
No, Allah.
And those placed in authority above you are the ulama.
You don't believe that. You're reading a translation.
Shouting and saying,
You're shouting and saying.
No, he's not reading from the Quran. He's reading from some
reading from both the
who isn't
Quran
even a prophet.
and the hadith
Who
and
I'm trying to
Muslim
say, bro?
scholars.
This is what fuels terrorists. This is what I'm trying to tell you. People like you fuel terrorists, mate.
I disagree with him. I don't believe he's right. I believe he's wrong. I'm standing here.
Why are you propagating it here? Why are you propagating it here? You're saying that we should be doing this.
Why are you causing a division?
You are propagating.
Let me answer this
Because none of the
question.
Muslims here
You are
are
propagating
propagating
Let
to
me
kill
answer
women
this
and rape
question.
non-Muslims.
We have it on record, on camera, and you can see it on so-called films. I have stood in front of Muslims who have attempted to justify the slave trade. I have stood in front of Muslims who have attempted to justify marrying children and having sex with them.
Why are you shouting?
I have
Why are you
stood in front of Muslims.
Why are you shouting?
Let me ask you this question.
Why are you shouting?
So,
Why are you shouting?
your argument is they
the
gave
argument.
consent.
That's why
Our argument was about ISIS, and you took it to Islam, and you're talking about my holy book in a bad way. But I will
Yeah.
not talk about your book because I believe in the Bible. I believe in the book of Jews, and that's what our Islam told
So
us.
you believe in the Bible?
Not this Bible, the right.
So he's just talked bad of the Bible.
So we believe in that. We
Is
believe
my Bible trustworthy?
No, it's.
There you go. So he
But I will not
says
take
I'm
it
not
as
going
well.
to talk bad about your book. But if I say my book is trustworthy, he says no, it isn't. The double
you're saying-
standards of the Dawah team
What Dawah
again
team, man?
and
What
again
Dawah team, man?
exposed.
Can I ask you a question? Hold on. Can I ask you a question?
ISIS is not
Can I-
Muslim.
wait,
You
hold
took
on.
it to Islam, and you
So why have
Because
you got
you
a
said-
subject? Why have you took him
You
away from
said-
the other Congo?
Yeah.
Did ISIS rape their female captives?
ISIS, they are not.
I am
following
asking
Islam.
you.
And
They're not
ISIS
following
do
Islam.
I will not talk about ISIS because ISIS doesn't
they?
We don't stand for ISIS.
I don't know.
Did they?
ISIS
We don't
doesn't
stand for
represent me.
ISIS, brother.
I know you don't.
So
And
why
I
are
accept
you
that
using
you don't.
ISIS as an example of Muslim?
Yeah.
I am using the fact that ISIS justified their actions from the
We are
verses
telling you,
I am quoting.
we are telling you as Muslims that ISIS are not following the.
Tell me a caliphate.
Why are you butting in? Why are you butting in? Hold on. Hold on. You Asian hate.
Why are you associating Muslims with ISIS?
Thank you very much. This is
I
what
don't
we've done.
associate Muslims
Yes, you
with
have.
ISIS. You were here
Yes,
from
you
the
have.
beginning.
Why don't you talk about the Muslim religion rather than talk? And
I am.
In the Quran.
my personal.
I am. No, you weren't here at the beginning of this conversation. You were not here at the beginning of this
Let
conversation.
someone talk.
This
All you're
conversation
trying to do is
started.
divide.
Defer to your elder.
If I want to.
Defer to your elder.
Forget about religion.
You want to say something?
That's what I'm talking about.
Completely. There should be
My
no
opinion,
religion.
my
No
opinion,
religion. Then
religion
we'd all
is a
be
lot
the
of
same.
crap. All it is putting one God against another
Absolutely.
God. My God is better than your God, and the result of that you get wars and people getting killed. In the Second World War, we believed in God. The Germans believed in God. But
No, they didn't.
we were still fighting
Germans
one
didn't.
another.
The
No,
Nazis-
the Nazis didn't. I'm talking about the German people did. Okay, and most wars. And if you look in Northern Ireland, if my God is better than your God, Anywhere you go, it's all been about my God is better than your God. The quicker you do away religion, the quicker you do away with war.
Uncle, may I may I reply? So, in terms of a reply to what you're saying, okay?
I'm just saying.
History,
Finally, bro.
because he's older than me.
Wow.
Because yes, it's respectful.
It's good respect, but
Thank
you should
you.
respect
Will you
everyone.
let me talk to the uncle?
Yeah, I will
and
let
not
you,
to
but you cannot choose
Right,
to
so
respect
uncle,
him because he's older
so-
than me because I'm a human being.
So, uncle. So the point that I'm making to you.
I'm not uncle, I'm your uncle.
We call.
My name's Peter, I'm not
Go
an
on,
old
Peter.
man.
If you want to be called Peter, I'll call you
I might be
Peter.
80 years of age, but I don't treat me like an old man.
We call everyone.
patronising.
It's not patronising. We call everyone uncles who's older than us.
He's a hate
This is a
preacher.
normal
He's just
thing
as bad
within
as
a
Anjum
church.
Chowdhury.
So when we
Do you know
meet
what I
who
mean?
are
He's
older
just
than
as
us, we
bad
call them
as
uncle as a sign of
It's
respect.
worse. It's fucking worse.
Okay, I'll call you Peter. Okay, so Peter, in terms of the history of this discussion, the history goes back further than World War II. Europeans have a history that is much older than modern history that we get taught in school. Right, but the point is, for over 1400 years, Islamic empires have tried to conquer Europe. And in so doing, they have subjugated
The Christians haven't gone to Jerusalem.
Do you know the history? They were Christians helping persecuted Christians.
Ramping and pillaging.
They were Christians helping.
All in the name of religion.
Peter, you don't know your history.
And robbing.
Peter, you don't know your history.
Go to India.
Your history,
India?
I'm afraid, Peter, you don't know
What
your
were they
history.
doing in India?
Peter, okay, I'm not going to speak to. I can't talk to Peter. He doesn't want to listen. So no. So anyway. So wait a minute.
What about the work?
So what I would say to you, yeah, the whole
He doesn't
point.
need help, man.
the
This
whole
guy's talking
point-
rubbish.
The whole point of what we're talking about is we started the discussion based upon ISIS.
Yeah. And you took it to the other way. I told you to
Yeah,
prove that the Quran says to kill people. You didn't prove
You want me to show you where it says kill
But
people?
only
Fine.
the person who
He said, show me where
No,
in the
I have the Quran
Quran
with me.
it
Quran,
And
but
show me
it's to
that
kill
before you
people,
open
innit?
the surah, I want to see.
Come on, this
Let's
debate's been
talk
done.
about
It's
where
been
the
I don't
done,
want to see
bro.
what you have written.
It's
I don't
been
want
done. This debate has been done,
Let's
innit?
talk about where it says the Quran commands people.
So get your Quran out rather than this one you're reading from.
He's reading a translation. Go and read a Quran.
Go and get the Quran.
Read in
Bro.
English. Read a
With the
Quran.
Which one?
Am I reading an English translation right now?
By
There you
who?
go.
By
Thank
who,
you very
man?
much. By a Muslim scholar,
Easy, man.
a Muslim linguist, translated by Abdullah Yusuf Ali. Yeah. Now notice, they say to us, we who are English speaking, that we must learn Arabic.
Who said that?
I say to you, why
no
can
Arabic.
God not speak in my own language? Why must I subjugate
Bible tell me
myself
which language.
to Arab imperialism like
to
you
protect,
have?
I'll answer the question.
Why?
I'll answer the question. To protect yourself.
Alright, so to
from
protect myself,
mistranslations,
so to
like what
protect
you're talking
myself,
about,
to protect
mistranslations
myself,
who can lie to people
so
and
to
say you can rape women.
so a
and then
Muslim
some
was
people
lying.
go and rape women.
A Muslim
and then
was
you
lying
go
about his
and
own
say,
holy book.
You can come and
A
rape
Muslim
women.
was lying about his own
That's
holy
what
book.
you-
ISIS.
A
That's why
Muslim
you
was
should
lying
learn
about his own
ISIS.
holy
That's
book.
why you should learn
A
Hebrew.
Muslim was
That's
lying
why you
about
should
his own
learn
holy
Greek.
book.
So you're not
A Muslim was
deceived.
lying about his
So
own
you're
holy
not
book.
deceived.
A Muslim was lying about his own holy book. So he says that I have to learn Arabic to protect myself.
So that you can read it.
I
in
would
your
say
scripture,
that
so
as
you're not
Christians
deceived.
we have something better than the Quran. Because God revealed himself in our Lord Jesus Christ
Calvinism.
as
We have
a man.
Calvinism.
Hold on, we might not
As a man.
Calvinism says
And
you can
as
do
a
whatever you
man,
want, and your name can't
it
be blotted
means
out.
that we
Calvinism
were
says
able to
you
tell
can do whatever
his
you want.
story,
You can rape women.
to deliver his message, to deliver his message, and because it is a story about a man, it means that those stories can be translated.
Why have you got
In
a other words, the Christian revelation is more universal than the Quran. How?
The Quran forces those of us who are not Arabs to submit ourselves to Arab imperialism.
How?
And we
How?
see
Hold on,
Arab.
how?
I will demonstrate.
What about the Church of
They
England?
ask me
Who's the
how.
head of the Church of England?
Allow me
Who's
to
the head of the Church of
demonstrate.
England?
Allow me to demonstrate. Allow me to demonstrate.
Henry VIII said he was God.
They asked
Imperial.
how.
No, I'm asking you.
They asked
I'm
how.
asking you. Hold on.
They asked How?
Hold on.
You asked
Hold on.
how.
Yeah, let me finish
So
my
I'm
question.
going to answer
My
the
question
question.
isn't finished. My question
Arab
isn't finished.
imperialism.
My question isn't finished.
No,
You're
it was
answering what
about- you
want.
asked how.
You're answering what you want.
You asked
you
how.
Are answering what you
People
want.
can decide for themselves if I'm making
So are
up
you
an
going to just
answer.
talk over me and talk and answer
Because
what? Why are
you asked
answering?
a question
What
and
are
then you don't want to
answering?
listen to an
What are you
answer.
answering?
Do you want to hear an answer to the question
What was the
how?
question? How what?
Do you want to hear a question to the? Do you want to hear an answer to the question how?
How what? How? Why are you
How
answering?
does
What are you
Arab
answering?
imperialism demonstrate itself through the spread of Islam?
In today's
In
current
today's world,
Okay,
I will
right.
give you an example from someone at Speaker's Corner. A Jamaican Afro-Caribbean who converted to Islam suddenly tries to start speaking in Arabic with an Arabic accent speaking in English, dresses as an Arab man, starts praying in Arabic to an Arab city following an Arab prophet. If that isn't Arab imperialism,
Hold on, guys.
I don't know
hold on.
what is.
So did he do that? Did someone force that on him? Or did he do that on his own choice?
He did that because the best way to be a Muslim
Hold on,
is
you're not
like
answering
being
my
Muhammad.
question. No, hold on. Don't buy him. You're not answering my question.
It was a free choice.
Did he, so he doesn't have his
It
own
wasn't
choice.
imposed.
So was it forced on him?
It wasn't
So does your
imposed.
statement stand correct?
No.
Shut up.
Right.
Shut up.
So,
shut up, bro.
let me ask you
talk
this
shit.
question.
No, you can't say nothing now. I'm going to talk now. This
The
man
Christian
here,
faith-
preaches hate. Everybody
He
around.
says that I preach hate,
Hold on.
so in his mind,
That's not a-
any criticism of his book is hate speech.
So do you have good things to say about Islam?
If there are good things
Do
to
you-
say,
do you-
I
do
will
you-
say them.
So do you have anything good to say about Islam?
Do I have to say something
Yeah,
good?
because I want to know.
Oh
if you're a
yes,
hate
I
preacher.
do.
I want to know if you're a hate
Why do
preacher.
I have to say
Because
something good about Islam?
I'm asking you your own opinion of Islam.
There are good things I can say about Islam.
So you agree there are good things of Islam?
There are,
So
but they're
so-
outweighed by the bad things.
How? How many bad things compared to good things?
Okay, one, Islam legitimizes slavery.
No, it
That
doesn't.
is bad.
No, it doesn't.
He says he doesn't
No, it doesn't.
legitimize slavery.
Stop your voice. Stop your voice. I want to talk about your opinion.
Oh dear.
I want to talk about your opinion. What's
dear.
your opinion, man? Not this book. What's your
Right.
opinion?
See, he's writing the.
So, alright, go on. How many
He
Muslims do
said
you take a slave in today? Shut up,
that
man.
Islam
Shut up, bruv.
does
This man's
not
a waste of time, bruv.
justify slavery.
Waste of time, bruv.
If that is true,
Close your book.
then where
your book.
Islam has dominated,
What's your opinion, mate?
we can expect that Islam would have ended slavery.
Hang on,
But let's look at the evidence.
This guy talks so much.
Hang on, listen.
In Qatar,
All the Abrahamic religions.
Islam was
So now
only
this book is his
slavery
opinion.
was only banned
All of them.
in 1952
All of them. All the Abrahamic
in
religions.
Iran.
All of them. do.
Slavery was only
Why are you
banned
guys listening to
in
him?
1929
Show the
in
camera that you have
Iran.
Yeah, show the camera.
Show the camera that you have
In
written down.
Iran.
Handwriting. Check his handwriting.
Iraq.
He's reading his handwriting, bro.
Only banned slavery in 1924
Bro, you're just as bad as
in
ISIS, man.
Morocco. Islam only banned slavery in
Talking about
1922.
Christianity. What about Christianity?
In
What
Egypt,
about Christianity?
banned slavery.
What about Christianity?
I'm going to answer the question.
What about Christianity?
What about Christianity? What about
I want you
Christianity?
to say the bad
Are you going to listen to the
I want
answer?
you to say. Hold
Do
on.
you want to hear the answer?
Yeah, no, the question.
Speak up, you wimps.
The
You want to hear
the question was the bad points of
All
Christianity.
about
The
Christianity.
bad points of Christianity.
In AD
The bad questions.
873,
Hey,
Pope
answer
John VIII
I asked for the bad points of
banned the
Christianity.
holding of other Christians as slaves.
What about the bad points of
In
Christianity?
960
Christianity get no bad
AD,
points. Aye.
the Doge Pietro the fourth banned slavery
Okay, listen.
outright.
Okay, can we talk about the religious
In
books?
1080, in
Does the Bible
1080,
condone
in
slavery?
1080,
Slavery. Does the Bible condone
in
slavery?
1080,
Does the Bible condone slavery?
in 1080,
None of that.
England,
That is not Islam. We don't condemn that in Islam, yeah.
slavery.
answer the question.
Guys, we're all brothers here, boys.
Slavery. Does the Bible condone slavery?
Iceland.
Does the Bible condone slavery?
Infuriating his own kind.
The Bible does condone slavery.
The
It condones slavery.
slavery.
The Talmud condones slavery.
Due to the
The
evidence
Torah
of God.
condones slavery.
Each
All the Abrahamic
12:56.
religions condone
day.
slavery.
Because in
Bologna.
historic time, slavery was
Slavery.
current. It was current. It's not current now, mate.
15.
Stop dividing, Bob.
Stay away from slavery. 10. So, by the 14th century, Christianity banned slavery outright at a time
Anyone listening to
when
Bob?
Muslims who are following Islam
Anyone listening to Bob?
were still practicing slavery.
Bob, you don't need to shout.
Thank you.
No one's listening. You don't need to shout.
Hold on, Australia.
Keep going, keep going. Can I ask you a question, Bob?
I'm going to answer his question first.
He's talking to someone. I want to ask
I'm
you.
going to answer his
I'm going to ask you. How many countries and religions in historic time?
He can't prove what he have just said. It's just like saying things from the internet. I can't prove what he has just said.
It's like saying, okay, since you can kill people, I can kill people, then killing is fine.
That is their logic.
That's
That
not
is
the
the logic
logic.
of the dawah.
That's not what dawah team.
So-
You're talking to a man who's not even Muslim saying dawah team.
No, we've already seen him on camera. We know he's sympathetic to the dawah team.
So how does that make him? What's wrong with your problem with the dawah team?
I created doubt in from himself. I'm just
My problem with the
So my
dawah
question
team.
to you,
My problem with the dawah team.
answer my question.
He
He can't answer my question, bro.
Question first.
He can't answer my question, bro. He can't answer my question.
Aboriginals. What about the Aboriginals?
How many different countries and religions rape women in the history?
Okay,
It's talking about Muslims.
ladies and gentlemen,
No one's listening to you, Bob.
the brother asked the question. Thank you. We are trying to listen, and people don't want you to shout.
Shouting in my
You're shouting in his face.
You were shouting in my face.
The Bible condones slavery.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. So,
Okay.
in the Christian scriptures we read this, because it is true that just like Islam, Christianity was also born in a time when slavery
But now
was
you
normal.
agree to what I was saying earlier.
Listen
Now,
carefully.
it's finally
You
agreed.
notice they don't want to listen.
This is what he was doing to us, bro.
Notice they don't
This is
want
what
to
he's doing to us,
Do
innit?
you want to hear my answer?
Yes.
You got to speak up, guys, because these two are deaf.
No, I said
Do you want to
yes.
hear my
I
answer?
said yes.
Louder. Do you want to hear my answer? Yes. So the people want you to be quiet.
No. We
Are you
said yes
listening?
as well, Bob.
Listen.
We said yes as well, Bob.
Each man must remain in the condition in which he is called. He's talking about your status in society, whether you're aristocrat, slave, freeborn, etc. Were you called whilst a slave? Do not worry about it, but if you are able to do so, become free.
If you're able
The
to do so.
apostles,
Well, if you're not able to do so.
then you have to stay a slave.
Oh, right, so the Bible does condone slavery.
But it commands you to
So they
seek
can-
your freedom wherever you
So
can.
there's-
Show me something like that in the Quran.
In the
So
Quran,
other
hold on.
verses-
Hold on.
Show me something like that in the Quran.
Hold on.
Go and find it.
Can I have a fact check? Can I have a fact check?
Hold on.
Can you
Fact check.
Google
No, hold on.
Bible
Show me
verses that
in the
condone
Quran
slavery?
where it commands slaves to find their freedom.
And that's why the transatlantic
Show me.
slave
Show me.
trade for 400
Show me.
years.
Have you
the
got a verse?
transatlantic slave trade
Have you got a
took
verse?
place because the Bible
He hasn't got a
condones
verse.
slavery.
He hasn't got a
Another
verse.
fact check, please. You'll
Why are
find
you
many,
asking
many
him about
verses.
Islam?
No, the Bible condones slavery.
He's talking about the Bible.
Notice, he hasn't got a verse.
He's talking about the
Catholic Church
Bible.
condoned it.
He's not a Muslim. Why are you asking him to show you
I'm not
a
a
verse?
Christian either, but I'm knowing my Bible.
Why are you
and I
asking him
can-
to show you a verse from the
Google check
Quran?
it. Fact check. You'll have loads and loads of
okay, no, I'm
verses.
not going to show you a
can
verse
read in
because
front
I
of the
haven't
camera.
even memorized the
You can read to all
Quran. But what I'm going to tell you as a Muslim,
Where is the verse in the Quran that commands slaves to find their freedom? The Bible commands Christians who are slaves to find their freedom if they can. Yes. If they can, which means you try to be free.
Muslims
Show me something in the Quran.
Slaves try to be free.
Show me
Why
in the
doesn't it tell them-
Quran.
Why doesn't it tell the slave owners to free their slaves?
So,
Why doesn't it command them to free their slaves?
Muslims are told.
Doesn't.
Muslims
So
are
we condone
told.
slavery.
let us look a bit more
Bible
at this.
condone slavery.
Let us look at this.
This is what they're all saying. You're telling me to shut up earlier. See what he does. Okay, so Muslims are told from Hadith and Quran.
Oh, now he wants to use hadith. Earlier he didn't like hadith. Yeah, go on.
So anyway, by Hadith and Quran, which are teachings, all right? So let me change my wording. Muslims are taught by teaching that if you have a slave and the slave requests.
Okay, no, you see, he's talking to Siri. Go
All
on.
right. So Muslims are told if you do have a slave and the slave requests to be free, you free him.
Which surah, which hadith?
I'm going to show you.
Exactly.
I'm going to show you the scripture now. But no, I said it first. You know why?
Where's your verse?
Hold on. Can I finish talking?
Where is your verse? Show me the passage.
Did I not just say I'm going to get the passage?
Right, go find the passage.
Okay, so I'm going to carry on talking first. The reason I finished talking is because it's people like him that says we believe in keeping slaves and not freeing them. But we don't. We don't get taught that. So we don't get taught to not free people. So please, do you believe that Muslims don't get taught not to free slaves?
This is your
No,
statement
I
now.
believe Muslims are told to free Muslim slaves.
Muslim slaves?
Yes.
What about non-Muslim slaves?
There are certain circumstances in which a non-Muslim slave can also be free. But
So you
Islam
agree that we
legitimizes slavery.
Hold on. Do you agree that we free slaves?
You can free slaves.
So
do you agree that Islam in Sharia institutes and governs the practice of slavery?
No. To be honest, my own opinion and my knowledge, I can't give you the answer.
Okay.
So I will research it.
Yeah.
I don't want to argue
So-
with you. I don't want you to raise your voice.
He was shouting
I'm
at you.
not
I'm not shouting at
going
you.
to argue with you. We're
I
having
am
a
not shouting at
discussion.
you.
So I want to ask you.
No,
Hold
one
on,
second.
You can't talk over
No,
me.
no,
I haven't
no,
finished.
no. One
A few
second.
minutes ago. You can't say what.
One
I'll give you your
second.
1 second. I'm not
One
finished.
second.
I'm not finished.
Yeah, 1 second.
I'm not finished. Can you
No,
respect
no,
that?
you were speaking to me a moment ago.
Yes, so I'm not finished.
And you made a point and I am addressing the point.
Your question was.
Ask this brother.
Hold on, you
if
can't turn
Sharia
away. I'm still
law
talking.
governs the practice of keeping slaves.
And I just said, ask the brother. You can ask me yourself like you did.
Maybe he
Is
knows.
it permissible in the Sharia?
The topic that we were talking, sir, the topic that we were talking about was about ISIS. So, and you were preparing to talk about Muslim and our Quran.
He was an expert a moment ago.
I wasn't an
Could you
expert.
please
But now
stop
he's
saying
not.
No, I wasn't
Sharia
an
law?
expert.
It is a ridiculous statement. You're literally saying law, because that's what Sharia means.
Okay.
That's just my shit. That's it. That's my
No, that's
thing.
fine, that's fine. So,
hate it when people
if
do
you
that.
go back 5 minutes in your tape, he said, with his own mouth, can you show me something that says that Islam doesn't free slaves? And a minute ago, he just agreed that Muslims
Can you take
and
your cigarette
Islam...
away from my Bible?
Sorry. So a minute ago, he just agreed that Muslims do free slaves and are taught to free slaves. So why are you contradicting yourself?
Do you notice
That's
something?
the question.
Can I reply now?
Yeah, why are you contradicting yourself is the question.
So I'm not contradicting myself.
How
And
not?
the reason why I'm not contradicting myself is because despite the brother saying that he's not an expert, he gave the game away. Did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
He said in Islamic teaching, we are told to set slaves free,
Yeah.
which means
We accept that we had
Islam
slaves.
does we accept that we have slaves, which means that
Okay.
Islam,
Okay, hold on.
which
Hold on.
means that,
Hold on.
notice
Hold on.
they're interrupting. Notice they're interrupting.
One second.
Notice
You have
they're
to
interrupting.
understand-
No,
One
I am
second,
going
one
to
second.
speak.
One
No,
second.
I am going to speak.
Let him finish.
Notice,
Let's have a
they
discussion. Let him finish.
always demand that you are quiet when they speak.
No, I said let you
But
finish.
when you
I
speak,
keep saying let you finish,
notice
man.
the interruption.
Finish, let him finish.
Notice the interruption. Notice the interruption. Notice the interruption.
You have to give
Notice the
Let him
interruption.
finish. Let him finish. You finish.
Are you done?
Bob, you finish.
Are you done?
We done.
Are you done?
We done.
Are you
We're
done?
asking for you to finish.
Are you
Bob.
done?
We done.
Good. Thank you. So,
And lower your voice. Stop shouting
notice
at us.
the interruption. Ladies and gentlemen, would you actually like me to speak and give my answer?
Yes.
Okay. So, the brother gave the game away. whilst on one hand saying he wasn't an expert, he made two comments. One, that we accept that we can have slaves, and two, Sharia law governs the releasing of slaves. Which means, to the question that I asked him, which is, does Sharia govern the keeping of slaves?
What
The
was my
answer,
answer? What was my answer?
notice the interruption.
Yeah, don't mind us.
Notice the interruption.
Go on, now finish.
So in answer to the question, does Islam govern the keeping of slaves? The answer is yes. Now, because, notice the interruption. Notice the interruption. Now, because Islam is an eternal law, that means that that law is applicable in the 7th century and the 21st century, which means that Sharia law would and does govern slavery today, not yesterday, not in the time of Muhammad, but right now.
Okay, you finished?
By contrast,
Are you finished?
the Bible commands slaves to pursue their freedom whenever they can. So I challenge Muslim sympathizer, Muslim and Muslim, bring forth your evidence that your sources say the same to slaves.
Why doesn't the Bible command slave owners to free their slaves?
Here we go.
Answer the question.
Are you going to answer my question?
Answer my question. Why doesn't it command them?
Let him answer one question at a time. Answer the question.
Answer the question.
So let me address this brother's point.
Thank you.
Please notice, however, that all of them declined to answer my question.
What's your question? I'll answer your
They
question.
wasn't even listening.
I'll answer your
He
question.
wasn't even listening.
I'll answer your question.
He wasn't even
I'll answer
listening.
your question first and then
So,
answer my question.
He's going to answer my question
Go ahead.
first. But let's hope this Muslim sympathizer will now address the question being asked. Show me in the Quran and Hadith where it commands slaves to pursue their freedom if they can, like the apostle instructs the slaves who are Christian. What's the question?
I can't do that.
He can't do it.
Okay, show me in the Bible.
So-
Why doesn't it say in the Bible and command slave owners to free their slaves and forbid slavery? Why doesn't it say that in the Bible? If it doesn't say that, then the Bible condones slavery.
Let me
And that's why the slave trade happened for 400 years.
Let me highlight a point, okay? Jesus, peace be upon him, he come before the Prophet Muhammad 600 years. When Muhammad come to the Arabia, he found Christian and the Jews have a slave. For 600 years, the Jews and the Christians didn't free the slave. So Muhammad come, he was solving the problem of the Arabs. He said, free your slave. That's
So,
what it is.
can I address this point?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the brother is making the argument that Christians were not freeing slaves.
No, it's not.
He doesn't know church history.
Yes.
He doesn't know about the saints.
Answer my question.
Notice their interruption. Notice their interruption. Notice their interruption.
Answer my question.
They want to ask
Answer my
questions,
question.
but not listen to
I answered
answers.
your
You
question.
can't ignore.
Answer my
Notice.
question.
Notice.
Answer my question.
Notice.
Answer my question.
Do you
Answer
notice
my
the
question.
heckling?
Answer my
Notice
question.
the heckling.
Answer
Do you
my
notice the
question.
ignorance? Every
Answer the
time
question.
I try to
Answer the
speak,
question.
I have to
Answer the
fight
question.
for my right to
Answer the
speak.
question. I answered your question. Answer my
Your
question.
taxi's here, by the way.
So,
Answer the question.
there's one point to answer and one
You
question.
said you'd answer my question first. I answered
So
your
I'll
question.
answer the question
Thank you.
first,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then I will address
Thank you.
the
That's what you
point.
said you'd do.
So, in the book of Philemon, let us just go into a bit of the history around the book of Philemon. Philemon was talking about, it is a letter written to a slave owner who was a Christian, who had a slave who was a Christian. And the slave ran away to Paul. Paul could not look after him, could not care for him, and could not sustain him. The slave could not sustain himself. And so, the best thing that Paul could do was to send him back to the Christian slave owner
He sold them back. Yes.
with a letter, the letter of Philemon, in which it states, and I quote, "For perhaps he was for this reason separated from you a while, that you would have him back forever, no longer as a slave. Did you all hear those words? This is Paul speaking. He's sending Philemon back. He's sending the slave back to Philemon.
He's sending him back.
Listen.
He's sending him back. Yes.
Listen.
He's sending him back. Yes.
Send him back to his
Listen.
to his
They
master.
don't want to listen.
I'm asking him.
They don't want to listen.
There's one slave.
That you would have him back forever.
Yeah. It's so
No
come for them.
longer as a slave,
How much? How much?
but more than a slave, as a beloved brother. Do you mistreat your beloved brother?
Okay. Show me the
I
verse.
pity your brother.
Show me the verse
Right.
where God commands you
So,
to free your slaves.
now let me address this guy's
It
point.
doesn't exist. It's
Now
not in
let
the
me
Bible.
address
It doesn't
this guy's
exist.
point.
It doesn't exist.
Now let me
There's no
address this
such
guy's
verse.
point.
Because
Listen.
you concede.
Listen.
Concede.
Listen.
Concede.
They don't want to listen
Concede. You're wrong.
because they are only interested in their own echo
We're interested
chamber.
in the truth. You can't handle the
Saint
truth.
John Chrysostom,
Was he?
an early church father, instructed the early church. Listen to these commands.
The Bible. Take from the
To
Bible.
buy slaves, to teach them a trade, and to set them free.
Doesn't say in the Bible.
That was
Why
Saint
doesn't it say
John
in the Bible?
Chrysostom,
It doesn't say
and
that in
he
the
was
Bible.
writing
Talking about
It doesn't say that in the
before
Bible.
Muhammad was ever born.
But it doesn't say in the Bible.
Saint Augustine
We don't have cotton
of
farms. We
Hippo
don't have cotton farms.
says that slavery is an expression of sin.
We didn't kidnap 180
Early
million
saints
Africans from Africa.
of the church
Rubbish.
would literally
Rubbish.
sell themselves into slavery,
Concede. You're wrong.
use the money to buy slaves freedom. It became a good work practiced in the early church as instructed by the church fathers to set slaves free.
It doesn't say that in the Bible.
And this was all before Muhammad.
But it doesn't say that in
Finally,
the Bible.
okay,
I have a question.
My last point. My last point. After all of this evidence,
What evidence? What evidence?
It doesn't say
Oh,
in the Bible. Concede. You're wrong.
after this, my
The
last
Bible
point.
condones slavery.
If we look at Saudi Arabia, a society dominated by Islam for 1400 years,
Saudi Arabia is only 200 years. Man.
they only,
1932,
I
Saudi Arabia
said
was
the
established.
society, not the state. They were not listening.
Okay,
They were not listening.
I have a question.
You said Saudi
After
Arabia.
1400 years of Islam dominating Saudi Arabian society, slavery was only banned in Saudi Arabia in the 1900s.
Okay.
Which means that Muslims failed to see this great emancipation, Imam Muhammad, for what he was. They thought that slavery was fine.
Because maybe
And
they read
why?
the Bible. Maybe they read the Bible
Because
and
they
they said
were
it was
following
okay.
Muhammad.
Maybe
Okay,
because
you
Abraham
made
kept
your
slaves.
point.
We don't have cotton
Now,
farms.
You've made your
here's
point.
my question to you
You've
guys.
made your point. I have a question now.
Here's my
turn.
question
It's
to
my
you
turn
guys.
to ask
Oh,
questions.
notice I don't get to ask any
Yeah,
questions.
you asked me a question. You asked me a question.
Go on, your
You
question.
made your point, yeah? Now tell me this. In Christianity, you just said that Christianity commands slaves to do what?
He's got a heavy disagreement with Christianity, so he sides with it.
You said Christianity commands slaves to do what?
Sorry, what?
What does Christianity command slaves to do?
It commands them to pursue their freedom wherever they
Okay,
can.
while in Islam doesn't command slaves to do that because it's already forbidden to have slaves. You get that? So it's already forbidden.
Abraham had
So,
slaves.
so
Abraham had slaves.
it's
And
not.
it's in the Bible, it's in the Quran. And all the Abrahamic religions, they all support slavery. And you can't say that it doesn't. And you can't hold that Quran and say it doesn't because they all do.
In Islam, it forbids slavery.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
and
it
neither
does.
does the Bible.
No, it doesn't.
I'm the living proof.
I'm the living proof.
Are you a slave that was set free?
Did Abraham have slaves?
Hold on.
That's not living proof.
Does he have slaves?
Hold on.
You believe in Abraham? Did Abraham have
I'm a
slaves?
Muslim. Do you see me as a slave? Do you see me as a slave? Yes or no?
No.
Then I'm a living proof that Islam and me for saying it that Islam forbids
Go and
slavery.
look up the Janissaries and the
Islam
Mamluks.
forbids slavery.
Go and look up the Janissaries and the Mamluks.
This is it.
So,
This is it.
the brother asked the question,
You can't just ignore.
where does the Christian faith
You can't just ignore.
condemn the slave trade? Listen carefully, this is for agnostic, sympathetic to Muslims, got a problem with Christians. Are you listening carefully?
We don't have a problem.
Are you listening?
Excuse me. We don't have a problem with Christians.
Paul,
problem.
can you not interrupt? Can you not interrupt? Can you not interrupt? Can you not interrupt? No, I'm going to speak. I'm going to speak to him. No, no, listen.
One thing you said.
Paul, writing in his letter to Timothy, lists those who stand outside of the faith. Listen,
He killed a lot of Christians.
listen.
Paul.
This is the list that he gives. Condemned. But we know that the Lord is good if one uses it lawfully, realizing the fact that law is not made for a righteous person, but for those who are lawless and rebellious, for the ungodly and sinners, for the unholy and the profane, for those who kill their fathers or mothers, for murderers, for immoral men and homosexuals and kidnappers. The word kidnappers that is translated here is referring to those who take slaves.
Rubbish.
That is what it is referring to.
You're looking for something.
Those who kidnap and take slaves and liars and perjurers is contrary to sound teaching.
Did Abraham have slaves?
So Paul
Did Abraham have slaves?
instructs,
Did he have
listen
slaves?
carefully,
Did Abraham have slaves?
because you are an ignorant man,
Did
listen
Abraham have
carefully.
slaves? I am
Listen
ignorant.
carefully.
I am ignorant.
You are an ignorant
So
man.
did Abraham have slaves? You
So-
tell me, wise one.
Listen.
Old wise one, tell
Listen.
me. Did Abraham have
Listen.
slaves?
He's dead.
Did Abraham-
Listen.
Did Abraham have
Listen.
slaves? Answer the question.
Listen.
I'm listening.
Paul commands slaves to pursue their freedom.
But not the slave
Paul
owners.
commands
Not the
slave
slave
owners to treat their slaves not as slaves, but as brothers.
Why didn't he command
Paul
them?
condemns those who kidnap people and take them as slaves.
Did Abraham have
I
slaves?
challenge
Did Abraham have
the
slaves?
Dawah team
wise
to
one.
show me in the
Oh,
Quran
wise one.
verses equivalent to this.
Did Abraham have slaves?
In answer to the
Did Abraham
question,
have slaves?
yes he did.
Okay.
Do we have to follow Abraham? Ignorant one. It doesn't want to. And this, ladies and gentlemen,
That's not
this is the kind of ignorance that we have to deal with at the park.
No, you're right. Thank you for
This
teaching me
is-
that.
this is a kind of
Abraham
ignorance.
had slaves, and the Bible.
Do Christians follow Abraham or Jesus?
Was it in the Bible?
Answer the question.
They follow Jesus.
Thank you. Did Jesus have any slaves?
What did Jesus say
Answer
about
the
slavery?
question.
What did Jesus
I've
say
answered
about
multiple
slavery?
questions of yours. Answer mine. Did Jesus have any
I
slaves?
don't know because he didn't say anything about slavery.
Did he have any
You
slaves?
tell me what he said about slavery.
There is no evidence at all
Did Jesus
that
say-
Jesus had
Did
any
Jesus command
slaves.
that all slaves are free?
And who is my example?
He's not written
My
as a perfect man in the Bible.
example is my
He's
Lord,
written as a normal
my
guy.
Saviour, my God,
It
my
was slavery,
King,
'cause it existed.
and my
Why didn't
friend,
Jesus say
Jesus
that Abraham was
Christ,
wrong? Why didn't
who
Jesus
had
say
I'm not familiar
no
with all of
slaves.
this. Ask Bob. Ask
But
Bob.
now let me ask you this question, oh sympathiser with the Dawah
Oh no, I'm
team.
the ignorant one.
Yeah, you are the ignorant
Yeah,
one.
that's right. You insult me.
Did Muhammad have slaves?
Huh? I don't know.
Go and look into it.
Same as Abraham.
Go
probably
and look
did.
into it.
Probably he did, same as Abraham. I can't say for certain.
Do you think
'Cause
keeping
I'm
slaves
ignorant,
is a
I
good
don't know.
example?
Well, like Abraham then.
We don't follow Abraham. Do you
Follow
think?
Jesus. What did Jesus say about slavery?
Answer my question. Is keeping slaves a good example?
No, I don't believe in slavery. Of course not.
Right. So go and look into whether Jesus had slave, whether Muhammad had slave, and ask yourself.
What did Jesus say about
Ask
slavery?
yourself.
What did he say?
Ask yourself.
What did Jesus say
Which
about slavery?
is the best slave?
What did Jesus say about slavery?
He said,
Jesus say it's free the slaves. Jesus command people to free slaves.
He said,
Did he say that? Where does it say it in the New Testament Gospel? Did Jesus say anything about freeing slaves? Are you a fucking old fool?
he said, he said,
did his silence mean that he can condemn slavery?
so, what he said, what about the caliphates? What about the Ottoman Caliphate? What about the Andalusian Caliphate? What about the Mohammedan Caliphate? What about the Umayyadan Caliphate? What about the Caliphate of ISIS? All of these caliphates had slaves.
Hang on a minute. What didn't Jesus say
All of
anything about
them.
slavery?
Every single one. And yet, what we have are a group of people trying to legitimize as an example compared to Christ those that had slaves. I also said the Andalusian Caliphate, the Ottoman Caliphate, the Umayyad Caliphate and the Mohammedan Caliphate. They all had slaves. You're saying I'm wrong. You're saying Muhammad didn't have slaves.
Okay, when
Muhammad did not have slaves.
Answer my question.
Oh dear.
When Muhammad come to the Arabia, the Christian and the Jews have slaves.
Did Muhammad have slaves?
Let's go his hand
Yes
around
or no?
the Quran now.
Did he have slaves?
No, it's not certain.
So he didn't have slaves. I refer to this brother, and I refer all those who think like this brother to go and check Sahih al-Bukhari 71:42 and 31:38, in which Muhammad clearly addresses a black slave. He calls him the worst possible leader. He says that he will be in hell. Muhammad had black slaves. He called him a ship. Why did he call him a ship? Because his shoulders were so broad. He could carry so much from Muhammad that he called him a ship. How ironic that the nation of Islam hates the Christian faith because their ancestors were carried on ships, when Muhammad referred to a black slave as a ship.
What colour
That is what he says. My sources. He says I am lying. You will see in the comment section I am not. Read Sahih al-Bukhari 72,
Did Muhammad
63,
did Muhammad
Sahih
have
al-Bukhari
slaves? 1 second, we heard
61,
you. We heard you.
61,
We heard you.
Sahih al-Bukhari 71, 42, 30, Sahih al-Bukhari 31, 38.
Did Muhammad
They say I'm making it up.
Did Muhammad free the slaves?
All of these
Did Muhammad free
hadiths
the
are called
did.
Sahih. He sold slaves.
Bilal.
He traded slaves.
Bilal was tortured by the
He
Arab.
sold 2 black slaves for 1 Arab slave. Go and read your hadith. You're lying to people. I greet you all in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. I'm afraid I gotta go.
So why you come back to Islam then? Who was a slave?
There were Muslims who
Why you
converted.
converted to Islam? Did you know why?
There were Muslims
Why you
who
converted?
converted to Christianity in the 1st century of Islam. Amongst the immigrants who went to Ethiopia.
This man's saying
I can't remember
the
his name.
Quran says the
Go and
slaves
look
should
it
be
up. Do
free.
a bit of research.
The Quran
Go
says
and
the
do a bit of
slaves should be
research.
free. That's
Go
what
and
the
do a bit of
Quran says.
research.
The Quran says that. He says the Quran says the slaves should be free. But the
Show me
Bible
the verse.
doesn't say that.
Show me the verse.
The Bible doesn't
Go on,
say that.
where's the verse?
The Bible doesn't say that.
So when I don't show them the verse, they say, oh, this is just your opinion. But when they don't show the verse, I have to accept their opinion. This is the double standard of the Dawah team. Ladies and gentlemen, we can do better than Islam. We can do better than Sharia law.
It was Britain that ended slavery around the globe. Did more than any other country in the world to end slavery.
Slavery was ended even before William Wilberforce.
How many million people?
As
How
early
many
as
million
Around the
people
world, the
died?
British Empire did
How
more
many
to
million
end
people?
slavery
Absolutely.
than anyone else.
By the
How many million
influence
people
of
did it
Christians
kill?
like William
Before
Wilberforce.
before they put under so much pressure to free them, how many million people died?
Well,
Who put them
by
under
the
pressure?
British Empire.
Who put them under
when
pressure?
Britain died.
Quakers.
I know. What group are they?
Yeah.
What group? Sorry, say it. What group? What? Thank you. Thank you. And who was William Wilberforce?
It was because of the Bible
William
verses.
Wilberforce was not a Quaker.
It was because of the Bible verses
William
that condone
Wilberforce was
slavery.
not a Quaker.
It was because of the Bible verses that
William
condone
Wilberforce,
slavery
know
that
your
went on for
history.
so long.
He says William Wilberforce was a Quaker.
If
I'm
Jesus
going
said-
to correct him.
Listen, if Jesus
William
said
Wilberforce
that
was
slavery
part of
was
the
outlawed,
Clapham sect, and that
if it-
was an Anglican movement.
If the Bible
They were called the
outrightly-
Clapham sect because they would meet in Clapham and because they emphasised the incarnation
If
over
the
the
Bible
crucifixion.
outrightly
Learn
outlawed-
your history.
Listen, if the Bible
You didn't know
outrightly-
anything
you're
of
not
what
listening
I've
to me.
told you.
You're not listening to me.
I've
If
heard
the
your
Bible
rhetoric. I've heard it for an hour.
outrightly banned the keeping of slaves, then the slave trade may not have happened. But it
Christians were
doesn't.
fighting against
But
the
it didn't
slave
happen.
trade as early as
But
the
it didn't
church
happen.
fathers.
But the Bible is
You are an
saying-
trade was
ignorant
happening
man.
everywhere.
But the Bible didn't
Go and
condemn
read what
slavery.
St. John
It condemned
Chrysostom
it.
trade was
said.
happening
It condemned
everywhere.
it.
That would
And
be
they
my.
took the verses
Yeah.
from the
But
Bible
the brother,
to say that
the
it
brother
was
is
okay.
simply, the
They
brother's
used
got
the
an issue with
Bible
Christians,
and
and
said
he's
we
got an
can't
issue with
keep
Christianity.
slaves because it's what
So
it
he
says in
just
the
wants to
Bible.
attack Christianity.
I'm not attacking
And what he
Christianity.
doesn't know,
I'm attacking the
what he
Quran
doesn't
as well,
know,
because the Quran
what he doesn't know
supports slavery.
is that as early
Okay, here we are.
as
Okay, now
the
listen,
third
you wanted the
century,
verse.
St. John
You wanted an answer to
Chrysostom,
your question. Here's
St.
the
John, I'm
answer.
speaking to him now.
Listen, he
As
doesn't
early
wanna
as
hear
the
the
third
answer.
century,
He
St.
doesn't
John
wanna hear it.
Chrysostom, St. John Chrysostom, St. John Chrysostom, so I'll speak to you guys. St. John Chrysostom commands,
He doesn't
buy
wanna hear
slaves,
it.
teach them a trade, set them free.
Yeah.
Christians were setting slaves free by their thousands as before the Roman Empire converted to the Christian faith.
Right.
When the Christian faith became the dominant religion in the Roman Empire, by the 5th century, the slave trade had collapsed within the Roman Empire and existed only in pockets. By the 5th century, that's 2 centuries before Muhammad.
Yeah.
These guys don't know the history of the church.
From what I'm aware,
They don't know. They're ignorant.
if we
people.
look at the story of Exodus,
where it tells slaves to pursue their freedoms.
No, not to tell slaves to pursue their freedom. They need to tell the slave owners to free their slaves.
Surah Al-Balad.
Okay, go on.
And it
What
says
difference does it make if you tell a slave to pursue your freedom? That's
Allah
pointless.
was
isn't it?
swearing that
You're going to have to cut to the main point because I've got to go.
Okay. He said, فَلَقْتَحَمَ عَقَبَ وَمَا أَدْرَكَ مَا الْعَقَبَ فَكُّ رَقَبَةٍ. That is a freeing slave.
Right, okay, right. So,
he
hold
commands the
on,
slave
hold on.
owners
His
to-
argument
He's
is.
commanding the Muslim to free the slave.
Hold
you
on,
go.
one second.
Because when Muhammad
He
came
wants
to
to
the
listen to
Arabia,
what he wants
he
to
found
listen
the
to.
Jews.
No, I wanna
I will.
know.
I will listen. I'll speak here, okay? Because he didn't want to listen to a reply.
I listen to that.
What?
That's
What?
evidence.
Let's be clear about
Your
what
Bible doesn't
evidence.
have evidence.
Yeah, you don't want to listen, bro,
I
and
am
everyone
listening
can see
to
it.
you.
Everyone can see you don't
I'm
really
listening
want to
to you.
listen.
You call me ignorant, now I'm
You are an
listening.
ignorant man, but you're a
Okay,
full cunt.
insult me.
So you
You
are.
want to
You are.
as well?
You are. So let me. Can I speak?
Yeah, I'm listening to
Right.
you.
So let's just be clear about what that verse means. Yeah. Like what I already said much earlier in this conversation, if this man had bothered to listen, which he didn't, was that I know in Sharia law it instructs the freeing of slaves.
Just listen to the Quran.
My criticism. Firstly, no Muslim would argue that Islam is based just on the Quran. They would say that it's the Quran and the Hadiths. And in the use of the Quran and the Hadiths, it governs the keeping, the buying, the capturing, the using, the treatment, and the freeing of slaves. If that is an eternal law for all mankind in all places and in all times, that means that it is instituted within Sharia law to capture, to free, to buy, to sell, and to treat slaves. By contrast, if you had bothered to listen to anything I had said, the Christians had almost caused the slave trade to collapse in the Roman Empire by the 5th century, 2 centuries before Islam. You see, he never wants to deal with the evidence. He just wants to move on to the next criticism. This is why this brother is a full cup. Because he doesn't want to engage with the evidence.
I am. The transatlantic slave trade is evidence that what you're talking about is nonsense. You're talking about the Romans banning slavery, and then you
Notice he doesn't want to listen.
I am
He
listening.
doesn't want to listen.
You're not listening.
He is a full cup. If Christians were banning,
Full cup and I'm
you are,
ignorant.
you are, bro.
Does Jesus say
You
to
are.
insult people?
Christ himself said.
Really? Said
Listen,
what?
listen,
I'm listening.
full cup, listen. Christ himself
Insult
said,
people.
"Oh, you Pharisees and Sadducees, you are like whitewashed tombs. You are nice and bright on the outside, but on the inside you are dead bones."
Okay.
He called them vipers. Christ was not afraid
And
to
why
call
would I-
people what
why
they
would
are.
I deserve to
And
be insulted?
You,
Why do I deserve to be
because you
insulted?
have stood here.
I'm looking for the
you have.
truth.
You're not, bro.
I am looking
You're
for
not,
the
bro.
truth.
Because
I
all
want
you
to
have
asking
done.
you what it says in the Bible.
All, and I've shown you.
Yeah, you showed
And
me
then
that
you
it
didn't
doesn't.
listen.
You showed me that it doesn't say in the Bible to command that slavery be ended. It doesn't say that.
It
It didn't
says
say
to slaves,
It says to
pursue
slaves.
your
Well, that's
freedom.
pointless. That's
To pursue
pointless.
your freedom.
Why did it tell slave owners to free your slaves and ban
It
slavery?
condemns slave capturing.
It's
It
telling me the
lists.
Quran says that.
Are you listening? It lists amongst those who will go to hell those who capture slaves. Did you hear that? No. Why? Because you are a full
You're
cup
telling me-
and
you're
you
telling me
don't
that the
want
Bible
to listen.
condemns slave owners
I
to
will
hell.
say it to you
No,
again.
show me the Bible verse that
I
says
will
that.
say it to you again.
Show me the Bible
I
verse
will
that
say
says
it
that.
to you again.
I want to know.
I will say it to you again.
Show me the
I will
Bible verse.
say it to you again.
Brother,
I
the
will
ship was
say
going
it to
from
you again.
Africa to North
Do
America.
you want to
It's
listen
called
to me?
Jesus
Okay.
Christ
I want the
ship.
Bible verse.
Right.
Jesus
I
Christ
gave
ship.
it to you,
Give me-
but you were too busy
No,
shouting
no.
like an ignorant
Okay, tell me
man
what it is now.
to hear
What's
me.
the Bible verse?
And you are a full cup because you're not listening now.
I want to know
Are
the
you
Bible
listening
verse so
now?
I can no longer be ignorant.
Are you listening now?
Yes, tell me what it is, the
Okay,
Bible verse.
the scriptures that I gave you earlier, which you will now have to watch on Soko Films to listen.
I want to know the
Are you
Bible verse. Tell
not
me it's
listening?
like-
Not
I just
listening.
want to know the Bible
Are
verse.
you listening?
Tell me
Are
the
you
Bible
listening?
verse. Give me
Okay,
the Bible verse.
he doesn't want to listen, so I'll say it
because
to you
you don't
guys.
have the Bible verse because it doesn't exist.
I gave a verse, and you can all listen to it on Soko Films. I gave the
No,
reference.
you can tell. Don't
It
you know
was.
the Bible verse?
It was in Timothy. Hint. It
So
was in Timothy. Yes.
So you can't tell me the
Are you
exact
listening?
verse.
Listen.
Where does it say in
right?
the Bible
No.
that slave
Are
owners
you
will be
listening?
condemned to hell?
It says
I want
that.
to know where it says that.
No, listen, bro.
No, it doesn't say
I'm
it. So
going to
keep your
submit
Bible
to you.
in
Do
your
you
bag.
guys want to hear what I have
Keep
to
your
say?
Bible in the bag because it doesn't say
right.
that.
So this, I'm not going to talk over this guy anymore. He doesn't want to listen.
He doesn't want to give me the
In
Bible
the
verse.
scriptures,
I think it
was in content over everything. In the
Can you find it where
scriptures,
it says
Soko
it?
Films.
wanna
In
hear
the
it.
scriptures, guys, they're trying to listen to me. Stop being rude.
I want the Bible
You're an
verse.
ignorant man. These people
Okay,
want to listen to me.
You're
Stop
supposed to be
being
a
rude.
preacher of the truth
So,
of the Bible, but you can't
so
give me a Bible
in
verse.
this, I did. You weren't
Oh,
listening.
so you can't give it to me again.
You weren't listening. I'm
Is
not
it a
going
secret?
to give it to you
Is
again.
it a secret?
Right. So in the scriptures, it lists amongst those who are going to hell, it lists a whole bunch, and it lists kidnappers as those going to hell.
kidnappers.
The word
Slave owners.
in the Greek
Kidnappers.
is used in other ancient documents
So it
to
doesn't say
refer to those who kidnap
So it's your
people
interpretation.
for the purpose of
So it's your
slavery.
interpretation.
So,
It doesn't say
as I
slave
said,
owners.
the
It doesn't
brother is
say
an
slave
ignorant
owners.
man.
Okay.
He doesn't
I'll
want
take
to
your
listen,
results. Fine, you think
and
that.
he doesn't want to deal with
I
the
want
evidence.
to know what it says in the
I have to
Bible.
go.
Yeah.
Good night.
See you later.
God
Go
bless.
with your misinterpretation of the Bible and of the Quran.
People
and
can
may God bless
decide
you,
for themselves.
And you
God
can read
bless.
the Bible.
What we've seen is that once again we have Muslims disagreeing with their own holy text and the example of their prophet. And that's a good thing. It shows they have a conscience, and it shows that their conscience is better than their book. But the evidence is clear that Islam teaches that you can take people as slaves. And we've seen Muslims talk about that, even in trying to defend it. They moved between saying that slavery wasn't practiced in Islam, it wasn't taught in Islam, to then saying that Muhammad governs the freeing of slaves. And they then started to give Quranic references and talk about hadiths without actually giving any hadiths. Which proves that this eternal system of law does permit slavery. By contrast, the Christian community, born in a time when they had no political power, no ability to force change upon society, preached things like telling slaves to pursue their freedom, telling slave owners to treat their slaves not as slaves, and condemning those who kidnap people for the purpose of slavery. Christians were practicing this faith. They were setting slaves free. Some of our great saints, and I'm not going to try and guess their names because they're all Roman names and they're very difficult, but I invite you to do a Google search and you'll find the names yourself. Set slaves free by their thousands. And if you find those examples, I invite you to stick them in the comment section, and I invite JC to pin it to the top so everyone can see it. So Christians were setting slaves free before the Roman Empire became Christian. Then when the Roman Empire became Christian, we saw that the emperors started to govern slavery in a Christian way. So, for example, I'm going to say Theodosius, but I'm not sure. It could be Justinian. Commanded that if you kill your slave, it's like killing a free man. They restricted the buying and selling of slaves. Christians continued to set slaves free. And eventually, when the whole of the Christian society became Christian, the slave trade in the Roman Empire had all but collapsed and was seen as distasteful, as seen as something unwanted. Now, by contrast, at the birth of Islam, when Islam came to dominate the Arabian Peninsula and was unrivaled in that geographical space, rather than prohibit slavery, the Saudi Arabian society practiced slavery, took slaves from Europe, took slaves from Saudi Arabia. The result of that was that the slave trade continued and has continued until for 1400 years. Janissaries were European slaves. Mamelukes were also European, Asia, sort of like Asian Caucasus slaves, I think, if I'm getting my geography right. They took slaves from Africa. Christians were banning slavery and continue to ban slavery because of historical processes connected to pagans invading Europe and reintroducing the slave trade. Christians fought again against the slave trade. And you see evidence that Christians... You see evidence again... One second. You see evidence again amongst Christians that we were banning slavery in the 8th century, the 9th century, the 10th century, the 11th century. Again, at this time, Muslims continued to do the slave trade, even though they had vast empires and could have banned slavery like that. Now, you have to ask yourself this question. Why did the emancipation movement, the ending of slavery, happen with William Wilberforce and not Abdul Hakim, a mythical Muslim from the 1700s? The reason is because in Christianity, you have every reason to end the slave trade, but in Islam, you have none. Christ said, "You shall know them by their fruits, and by their fruits you shall know them." I'm not saying that all Muslims agree with slavery. I'm saying that Islam teaches it. I'm saying that the practice of Islam over 1400 years shows that, and the practice of Christians shows that we're very much, and always have been, against slavery. Know them by their fruits.